Hello, everyone. I am Reverend Nick Bullitt. I'm so excited to be sitting here today with Reverend Nura Hirmina, and we are here to talk about an upcoming workshop that is called Pray Like the Poets. Nura, thank you so much for joining us.
Thank you for having me. The workshop is the product of my doctoral project and the dissertation that I'm finishing.
Oh, that's so interesting. Can you share a little bit about what inspired you to do your doctorate on this?
I was having a conversation with a friend of mine saying, I just want to be able to pray like the poets. I was thinking of the Sufis. I was thinking of Mary Oliver, John O'Donohue. Like, I just want to pray like the poets. I'm like, okay, that's my aspirational goal. A lot of OneSpirit grads actually went on to NYTS to complete doctorates. So I knew that it was an environment that supported interfaith, interspiritual work and deeper research through that door, through that lens. I thought I would do something having to do with spirituality and the corporate world, since that's the other half of my life is my corporate job. And, like week one might have even been day one. And I heard one of our teachers praying, and the language that they use was very inclusive, very supportive of the path those of us who've gone through OneSpirit are on. And it brought up actually something that had been a struggle for me, which was praying out loud. The idea of praying out loud in front of a group of people, friends or strangers, I would just break out into a cold sweat,
Something that a lot of people experience, like stage fright, and they say sometimes
Yes.
public speaking is a worse fear than death.
Yes. And so, I'm sitting around a conference room table with my cohort, and I'm like, don't make eye contact, right? The question is put out, who's going to open us up in prayer? And it's like, okay, stare at the table.
Right, don't look at me.
Do something, right? Pretend I'm in a meditative state or something. Like, just disappear, somehow find a way to disappear. That little voice that we hear, that little voice saying, you need to work on this if you really want. Like, you don't have to. Everything is an invitation. But the invitation is really strong, that this is this thing that's been following you. Why not throw yourself in it and see what's there? So, as the project evolved, I did an 8-week workshop last year as part of my project.
Mm-hmm.
But leading up to the workshop was all the work that I was doing. I used myself as the guinea pig. I experimented on myself. Is it stage fright? Is it deep wounds that I need to, work with a therapist on to figure out why I have this struggle? Is it simply language? Is it that I just don't have the language to speak prayers because I grew up, going to a traditional Episcopalian church, and we didn't do spontaneous prayer, and the languaging shifted as I got older, right? The hierarchy, the patriarchy, the language of God the Father didn't speak to me anymore. I felt like I didn't have words anymore. So I worked through a lot of that with me as the first student, with, companioning myself, so to speak.
I've heard this saying, every breath is a prayer, and to be able to just live your life in every single moment as if it is a prayer.
Yes, I have a teacher who says, we are always praying. Isn't it better to do it consciously?
Yes.
That changes everything, really, because it's not just what are these words that I'm going to say in this moment alone or with this group of people.
Mm-hmm.
It's to embody life as a prayer.
Yes, and as you did that first workshop that you were saying, the 8-week workshop, did you find a shift happening in your own body, in your own spirit, as a result of doing the work and you being the guinea pig for yourself first?
Absolutely. I mean, the journey was amazing. It was absolutely amazing, because walking with the fear, walking with the dread, walking with the anxiety, walking with the ecstasy, even, because as I felt the ease coming into my body, as I'm reading poetry and prayers written by other people, as I'm sitting in the language, other people's words, but then in my own time of reflection and meditation and contemplation, I would feel myself wanting to speak, even if it wasn't out loud, even if it was just in the silence of my mind and my heart. I felt myself wanting to speak more prayerful,
Yes, and I think that there's definitely something to be said about community and working together in community to be able to co-create an experience that we may not have necessarily come up with on our own.
Yes. But one of the highlights is when we constructed a prayer together. It was the collective community prayer. Each person would say a line, and then whoever felt called would just step right into the next spot. Everybody just stepped into the next because you listened to who came before you and who came before them. And then your heart opens and you say something into the space. And it just continued and continued until we wrapped up with the final person and an amen. And it was like, wow, we all just looked at each other like, did we just do that? We did that. We just did that. That's what I try and bring with this class as well. So there's some teaching, and there's also a lot of self-reflection and introspection. And then there's also, of course, the sharing and the practice. And I'm looking forward to bringing a condensed 4-week version to OneSpirit. And my role as facilitator is to create the container and to hold the space.